How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Guys, it's Tuesday. You know it. You love it. Our favorite night of the week, Tuesday.
Woot.
Welcome to episode number 62 of How About That Cigar Live. We are here, as always, on Facebook and live on YouTube. This is Matt. That is Garrett. And we are live here, as always, from Forest Lake, Minnesota. As always, from the Drew Estate Cigar Studios. And Drew Estate would love to tell you about the new announcement for Drew Estate and Cigar Dojo, announcing the newest member of the Dogma family. That's right, the Undercrown Dogma Sungrown. It is featuring a sun-grown Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper leaf, a Connecticut River Valley stock cut and sun-cured sun-grown Habano binder, filler leaves, including an extensively aged Lajero from Nicaragua's rarely used Nueva Segovia region. In keeping with the first Dogma release, the Dogma Sungrown is a box-pressed Vitola, this time in a 5x54 size, and also blended by Willie Herrera to be a bit more intense than the core line of Undercrown Sungrown. Undercrown Dogma Sungrown will be presented in 24-count wooden boxes exclusively through Drew Diplomat authorized retailers, set to begin shipping this August. For more information, please visit drewestate.com. So, Garrett, I'm having trouble making words with my mouth tonight.
A little bit.
So
we'll get through it.
It's one of those things. I don't know. What are you going to do? I can't talk.
Well, man, I had a great week.
Okay. Hit us with it.
Dude.
If you've had a great week and it's only Tuesday, that's an awesome thing.
Yeah, well, last weekend. This was our third year now doing an annual fishing trip with some guys. Matt is familiar with as well, that we go out to Lake Michigan and we go salmon fishing. Sorry. And
were you on a boat?
Dude, I was on a boat. I was sailing. I'm a sailor.
Are you a sailor now?
I'm a sailor.
You sail?
I sail.
Like out on the, like way far away from the dock?
Way far away. And we had just the best time. We didn't catch like a ton of fish, but each of us got at least one. And I got a 13.5-pound rainbow.
Nice.
And I cannot wait to put that in my face.
Are you going to smoke it?
So I'm going to smoke a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And then the rest will just be fillets that I'll probably just cedar plank those. And then Mike got a big, huge king salmon.
Nice.
That was, beautiful fish. And we got one coho, which I had a piece of raw. Guys, fresh, like right
out of the water.
Right out of the water.
Gotta love that. It's so awesome. I mean, just being able to get out there finally. I mean, so everybody watching, all you guys listening, it's been a weird few months here in the world. And, now that things are starting to open up again, it's so great to be able to get out and do things. And regardless, guys, whatever it is, if you go to, a state park and go hiking, or if you go camping somewhere or get out on a boat and go fishing, whatever it is, honestly, this was the weirdest experience and it shouldn't be weird, but it was for my wife and I a few days ago. We went to a restaurant and we sat down inside a restaurant and ordered food, and they brought us food and we ate it. And I know that sounds like the most boring everyday experience, but after all this COVID stuff, some places starting to open up, and being able to go and actually sit at a restaurant table and order a meal, it's strange how foreign it felt, And so, as always, we've been talking to you guys for the last couple of months about getting out there and supporting your brick and mortar cigar shops. We are going to continue to harp on that as time goes on. Fortunately, a lot of shops are opening up. There are even some shops that are opening up their lounges, so you can not only go into the humidor and select a cigar, you can also finally sit down at a lot of these spots and enjoy the cigar and enjoy the best part about the cigar lounge, which is meeting new people, learning about people in your community, sitting down, smoking together, talking about whatever subjects happen to come up at the cigar shop. So Again, get out there, support your local brick and mortars. If they're only available for sales, that's fine. Go into the humidor, pick out a handful of your favorite cigars, maybe one or two you haven't tried before, and enjoy them in your own, smoking lounge, your own driveway, your garage, wherever you smoke at home. Definitely continue to support the brick and mortar cigar shops.
And not to take away from cigars, but really all small businesses that have, made it this side of this crazy situation.
Yeah.
Get out there and support small business, because they are the backbone of many communities and need our support.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, restaurants, get out there, support them. We even went into a few, my wife, Amy, loves, antique shops and vintage shops and stuff like that. I enjoy them. I tolerate them. I love just being next to her. So I go in there, those shops with her. But, any of those small shops, go and visit some new small towns, visit your own small towns, and just support the businesses, of those people who live and breathe the communities that you're a part of.
Well, even Michael has a really good point too. I'm sure we're going back to cigars, but with the PCA not happening this year, some companies have released cigars already early, and there is some new stuff out there. So go into your,
excellent point,
brick and mortar, and check out the new stuff that's coming on the shelf.
Yeah, definitely. But guys, we have a great special guest tonight. Somebody we've been working on getting on the show for a while now. Stuff happens in the world, so we had to move schedules around a few times, but it's finally happening tonight. And as always, our special guest segment is brought to us by Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com. They are the internet's largest and easiest to use virtual cigar store. Corona Cigar Company offers you the finest handmade cigars, humidors, and cigar accessories at the absolute lowest possible price. And you'll also find unique and limited cigars containing Florida sun-grown tobacco. As a proud American, president and founder of Corona Cigar Company, Mr. Jeff Borshowitz, believed it was possible to bring cigar tobacco farming back to Florida. At Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, you'll find the best selection anywhere in the world of cigars containing this special Florida sun-grown tobacco. If you live in Florida or are just visiting, be sure to visit any of the great Corona Cigar locations in downtown Orlando, Sand Lake, Lake Mary, and also the Davidoff of Geneva Lounge in Tampa. For more info on all of it, please visit coronacigar.com and floridasungrown.com. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to episode number 62 of How About That Cigar Live from American Viking Cigars. Please welcome Mr. Tim Swanson. Tim, welcome to the show.
What's happening, guys? How's it going?
Oh man, it's a beautiful night here. It's we're having a warm week here in Minnesota. For us, a warm week. It was about 90 degrees today. It's going to be hovering in the mid 80s all week. I would imagine you coming to us from Arizona. That's an average winter day.
That's a regular day. That's just a day. It's just a day when it's 90. Yeah.
So, Tim, tell us about, I already, broke the secret that you're broadcasting from Arizona, but tell us where you're coming to us from and what you're smoking tonight.
So I am smoking the Filthy Viking from American Viking, and I'm sure I'll get to tell you guys all about that. I see you guys lighting up some as well. Coming to you guys actually from Arizona, from the lounge at the Cigars Daily HQ, which is a brick and mortar shop down here that my father-in-law and I run together. And this is where we have most of our fun. And then just a couple blocks behind my back is American Viking Cigar HQ, which isn't set up for relaxation like the lounges. So I'm just hanging in the lounge tonight.
Nice. So
Matt, and you're lighting up the same.
Yep, I just cut the Filthy Viking for myself, and I'm about to fire it up. And Garrett is firing up the
Dama Velada, which means goat fuzz, right?
Goat fuzz. Yeah, and you can see from the picture, that's really what we were going for. You're the first person. Dama Velada it means veiled woman, right?
Oh,
so
cool.
Dama, it's like the dame or the Dama woman, veil. It's like, and that cigar is a really cool story. It's the idea behind it is there's a statue called the Dama Velada carved out of marble. And it's the Mother Mary. Her face is downturned, and she's got a veil over her face, and you can see her face kind of extruding through this veil. But the whole thing's carved out of marble, and even the veil is marble. And So it's this solid stone statue, very strong, with these really delicate features of design in it. And when we got the blend for that cigar, we said, man, it's got definitely a presence and a strength to it, but very nice, delicate flavor notes. And so I'm actually going to be reviewing that one for Cigars Daily in the near future. But yeah, that's the newest stick. We released that with the release of American Viking in February.
Awesome. Well, we definitely want to dive in, to the deep end of the pool as it relates to American Viking cigars, but we also want to get a little bit of your backstory for our viewers, for our listeners, so people know a little bit about you. So give us an idea about your first experience with a premium hand-rolled cigar.
I was my 18th birthday. I was like, when I turned 18, smoking a cigar was the only thing I could think that I wanted to do for turning 18, for becoming an adult, right? So and in my mind, there was this whole idea about premium cigars that it was part of manhood, becoming a man. And I knew I could buy cigarettes at 18, but I didn't know anybody who smoked cigarettes who actually liked their own life. So cigars seemed to me to be something that men did. And so on my 18th birthday, I went into a cigar shop in Tucson, Arizona. It's a local brick and mortar shop called Crescent Tobacconist. They're still down there. And the guy sold me Ashton Churchill that I went. This is when you could still smoke inside. There was a pool hall in town. You could play billiards and smoke in there. So me and all my friends took our cigars and went to the pool hall. And I just smoked that thing and played pool until I was sick. And then I was in love. I couldn't, even though I got sick, I couldn't take my mind off it.
Oh, that's outstanding. And that's a great way to start. I mean, there's a lot of great premium cigars on the market, some that are new, some that have been on the market forever. But, starting out with an Ashton, that's definitely a good way to get out of the gate.
Was it a classic white?
It was no
VSG.
No, it was a classic. It was
okay.
Just their Connecticut.
Yeah,
whatever, basically regular Connecticut. Churchill.
Yeah, it's such a great cigar. It's one of those cigars that's one of those cigars that I would say that we talked about on a show a while ago. That's really consistent. It's a cigar that if you smoked one 10 years ago and you pick one up off a shelf today, it's gonna taste the same
cigar.
Yeah,
so they really do a good job with
consistency. Is really, really hard to achieve there, right? Like it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy and effort to get consistency, especially when you're dealing with more than one crop year.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a question that I really wanted to talk to you about, Tim, because and this is diving into American Viking cigars. So everything that's been going on, that we've seen going on in the premium cigar industry for the last number of years, really, but especially it's ramped up in the last couple of years with everything going on in the world of premium cigars when it comes to FDA regulations and high taxes and all this stuff. What on earth was going through your mind that made you say, hey, let's start a cigar company? It'll be fun, they said.
It'll be fun. You don't get into cigars if you're not willing to fight to do what you love, right? Like they talk about musicians starve for their art. Well, cigar people have to fight and starve for their art, right? It's like There's so many cigar shop owners and cigar makers and cigar tobacco growers that all of them we're all in the same boat. And even though we compete, we're all in the same kind of like, we got to fight to do what we want to do. And when it came to cigars for me and for my business partner, Jim, him and I both are equal owners in American Viking. And we were talking about this very early on when we started Cigars Daily and launched cigarsdaily.com. And we were talking about some of the exclusive stuff that we had put out. We saw very early on that people were looking to our exclusive catalog on our website 5-1 over the boxed banded stuff we were carrying. And it was like, it was Davidoff. It was like Camacho, it was owned by Davidoff. Camacho, Avo, Drew Estate, Brick House, La Gloria, Punch, Hoyo, Cohiba. Like this is all the stuff we carried, my father, and a lot of the really great stuff. But people were still jumping to our sticks. They were buying them 5-1. We were like, that's just crazy. And
it's
so
fantastic. It's great.
it was great. We were absolutely excited about it. We're like, we think that we could make this even better. And there's a few things that we were both very, very passionate about. One of them was the actual crafting of cigars. We're both excited about that. And when we put out the Obrigado, which is part of the American Viking catalog, that was like our first like in a box with a band, beautiful, exactly what we wanted, basically in a stick. And then we started talking about the idea of like, what if this just wasn't only available from our shop? What if we were able to actually partner with shops at the same time? You guys already mentioned that brick and mortar cigar shops are the backbone of cigars in America. They're a really important part of our lives. And I think that's true. Like brick and mortar cigar shops are a huge deal for us. Like obviously the goal is to sell cigars. We want to sell a lot of cigars, but this gave us a way to sell more cigars, but also create partnerships with those shops. And Cigars Daily, we've got our own online platform on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and a lot of people really came to follow and trust Cigars Daily. And we said, well, what if we started speaking through our Cigars Daily platform and encouraging people to visit brick and mortar shops who are carrying American Viking cigars, so that we can be giving people that message? Because if the only message we have is buy cigars online from us, like that's good for us. It's not great for the industry as a whole. We're not really contributing as much as if we could really speak the message we wanted to speak to people, which is go shop at your local cigar shop, go support the mom and pop shops in your neighborhood, sit in their lounge, shop their humidor, and enjoy.
100%.
So one of the things that I love learning about from different brands, because there are way more brands obviously in the world of premium cigars than there are factories, and there are so many great cigar factories out there in the world in different countries with different styles, different philosophies, things like that. And I want to know from you, what factory are you having your cigars made at, and how did that relationship develop? And how do you guys work on, the blending process with the people in the factory?
So the factory is one that we won't share. And that's probably, which is weird for us, because the whole idea behind Cigars Daily and behind American Viking is, let us show you how we do this. It's part of the reason that we make videos on the channel and put content out. We show you how we built Cigars Daily and cigarsdaily.com. And then to the new degree, we're showing people how we built a cigar manufacturing company. And so we want to be as transparent as we can. The factory asked us early on, they said, hey, at this point, we want to make sure that we keep our relationship adjusted right. Please don't share this with anybody, at least not right now. And, at first I had a really hard time with that, because the factory that we're working with is the factory I would want to work with on the planet. If I could pick of every factory in the world, it would be this one. So of course I'd love to shout it from the rooftops. And when I was telling Jim about it, I was like, it's like you meet a girl and you're going out with your dream girl, right? Like for me, that would be Tiffany Amber Thiessen from when she was on Saved by the Bell, right? Kelly, like I'd be going out with Kelly, and Kelly's like, we can go out, just don't. Yeah, Kelly Kapowski. We can go out, just don't tell anybody about it.
Especially
I would probably be like, all right, yeah. So I get it, I get it, but so the factory is the only thing we don't really put out there right now. But I will tell you, it's a premier factory. If I said the name of it, lots of people would know the name of it. And the quality of tobacco that's coming out of the factory, in our opinion, is second to absolutely none. And so this has been great, but developing the relationship, I can tell you guys all about that. We
so you go to
in our first
price, and
that's right. Yeah. No. We spent our first few years making cigars with 4 different factories across Nicaragua, and one of them was actually in the Dominican Republic. And the American manufacturing company to Latin American factory relationship has got a number of hurdles to overcome. There's language, there's culture, there's all kinds of stuff, and you're not able to do business in the same place all the time because you're separated by space. So we were working with 4 different factories, and we had problems, the kind of stuff that we were like, gosh, we can't keep operating like this. We've got to make sure that we give our customers the consistency and are able to create an expectation for when stuff is going to arrive and making sure it's in good condition. So we started thinking and praying about what one factory we want to work with, and we found the factory. And I called the factory that we're working with now for a year before, and I kept hearing no, we're not doing anything else with anyone else. We're at capacity, not going to happen, until the patriarch of the family that owns a factory got in contact with me and was like, hey, I've seen you online and would like to get together. And that sort of started that relationship, which was really, really cool. It was one of last year in September, we got to go to Nicaragua, and we did a whole week of touring with. And when we were there, we made a series of videos with the Plasencia family about how cigars are made. And at the same time, we were meeting with this factory that we knew we wanted to be working with. So we had this whole other covert side to our trip to Nicaragua. We spent about a week there, and we got to go over all the blends to make sure that they were just right, exactly what we wanted from them. We did a lot of the design elements for boxes and, how's the stuff going to look, what's it going to be shaped like. And I got to put together, the biggest order for cigars I've ever made in my life, which was awesome. Anyway,
it's got to be a blast. We do have a question. Colton Johnson says, hey, Tim, any ideas for your next blend release yet, or is it too early?
Yeah, I don't know if it's too early. It's too 2020 to tell right now, right? Because early and late has left the conversation.
It's way too 2020 right now, bro.
Yeah. It's like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
The complications that we're finding are not only with FDA and FDA regulation, and just a quick note on that, that's been really positive forward progress for the cigar industry with regards to FDA regulation for about the last year. We've had a year of some really great wins with FDA regulation stuff. And now, just this last week, I was reading an article on Half Wheel that a group of about a half a dozen Congress people got together and wrote a letter to President Trump asking him to alleviate the cigar industry of the FDA regulations that are sort of unfairly applied. So that's all separate. But as far as the question, when we first launched American Viking, people were asking me what the next thing would be. And my answer was, we've got to probably sell some cigars before we can dive into that one. But at this point right now, it's still very we honestly don't know what's going on. We're working with the factory right now on a couple of things, but what that's going to look like, we've got a window right now, basically from now to September, where new stuff can be made, new things can be created, and then the FDA is going to try to shut the door on that, and that may or may not ever happen. That's a deadline that's already been pushed back several times. So for us, there are a lot of question marks we're still trying to answer. That particular question is one of them. When we do the next thing, what is it going to be? How are we going to get it done? And what do we need to do to make sure that it happens? We've got some really cool ideas, but it's stuff that we got to make sure that we follow the steps in order to get to.
Yeah. Well, I want to just say quickly this, as I'm smoking this Filthy Viking here, and I'll show everybody on video that, it's holding up beautifully. It's smoking very nicely. It's got very, very classic, approachable flavors to it. There's spice. There's even some sweetness there. There's this interesting sort of, I don't know, maybe I want to almost say that I get little hints of cinnamon and vanilla here and there with some kind of sweetness to go along with some nice spiciness especially through the nose. So, and it's like you can see, everybody can see on video now, it's burning like a dream. So Garrett, what are your thoughts?
Matt, hold yours up real quick, because I'll tell you guys this. Matt and I lit our cigars at the same time before the show. I just smoke it a lot faster.
Yeah, Garrett can attest that Garrett always outsmokes me on the show. I smoke slower.
Yeah, same. The construction, is just about razor sharp on this burn. The ash is holding together very nicely, and the flavors are much different from the cigar Matt smoking. I would say almost citrusy on this. There is just a slight pepper on the finish. But really, this is started out as a mild and we're into a medium on strength and flavor right now. But I'm loving it. My first American Viking cigar.
Yeah, same here. And thank you, Tim, for sending us these to sample. They're really, really very nice.
Dama Velada. That's fun to say.
I want to know about the name of the company, about the name American Viking Cigars. What's the origin of that name, and what made you decide to name the company that
instead of American Packer?
Yeah, instead of
the Viking things really started with the Filthy Viking. It was sort of like, and the Filthy Viking it's my blend. I'm Scandinavian. You guys are coming at us from Minnesota. All of my family is there for generations. And so when I was looking at doing a stick, this is years ago when the Filthy Viking was the very early stages before Cigars Daily existed. It was I wanted to name it Valhalla. Call it the Valhalla cigar. This was like a great, like really like super amazing Nordic idea. But Kaizad Hansosha at Gurkha already had the trade name for it. So I called him and I said, hey, can I buy this trade name from you? And he said, you can have the trade name if I can make the cigar for you. And I said, no, I really already lined up where we're going to go with the cigar. Is that the only way if I let you make it? And he's like, yeah, basically. And I didn't know at the time Valhalla was a cigar he only made for Thompson. And that was when Cigars International was buying Thompson cigars. That was a part of that transaction. So he was trying to like work me into the deal to get this trade name. But I was like, no, I don't like that. I'll just move on. And that was when I was like, well, I need something. I want to honor the heritage. And it was like one day it just Filthy Viking just came out of my mouth. And so that was the beginning of this stick. But when it came to the American Viking, it was like, okay, this is the next step of this thing. This is the next phase of this thing. And Viking is very clearly a part of what we do and who we are. For me, for what I do and who I am very clearly. And so we were like, American Viking really starts to include a lot more people in that. Like, it's not just about me being my family's from Norway. My great grandmother was a lady in waiting for the Queen of Norway, right? So we're all up in there, up in that Viking business. And so this was a way to sort of bring it to our home here, not just Viking, American Viking.
So
love it.
I know that Garrett's got a question about the Vikings. No, I'll ask it for you because it has to be.
It must be rattling.
You being in Arizona, are you a Minnesota Vikings fan?
No, I am not.
Okay.
I am categorically broken as a man when it comes to sports because I don't. Well, I like playing sports, but I don't watch or understand watching sports.
Fair enough. Yeah,
That's
man.
fair.
Yep, totally get it.
I can go play poker. As soon as people start talking about sports, I shrink into the corner. I'm just like,
yeah. Have you guys seen the new Marvel movie?
Has anybody bought a new PlayStation game this week?
Well, and not really anybody talks about sports right now because they're
non-existent. I mean, with that regards, everything is like my dream. Like, it's amazing. I don't have to talk about it.
Big sporting news. Did you hear who got on the cover of Madden 2020?
No.
Lamar Jackson.
Oh, nice.
And that beast deserves to be there to be sure. For sure.
Isn't that like a curse? Like getting on the cover of that? It's like a curse for the team.
For some, I would say for the majority, there has been a Madden curse for sure. And I'm hoping Lamar beats it because this dude he's ridiculous. I think he's going to be an elite quarterback. I'm just so impressed with him. Can't wait to see what this next year holds for him. You're getting trolled, Matt.
Do you think the curse could come out of the fact that when the game comes out, all the players on that team get it and start playing with their own self, and then it just taints how they can play?
Well, playing with oneself and taint isn't a good thing to all put together. We should
Thank you for piecing together my trail.
Let's I think we're going to get a lot of people to really surround Lamar Jackson as a great player, and I think that franchise is just going to invest in around him, and we're going to see some Ravens.
Yeah, I agree. He'll be really good for basketball as a whole.
Totally, yes. The NBA, the NHL,
absolutely. So, I want to know more about this blend here, the first blend, the Filthy Viking, because I really am genuinely enjoying this cigar. So, give us, and if it's a secret, it's a secret, but give break the secret and give us the lowdown on the blend here for the Filthy Viking.
So, Filthy Viking is, as it has always been, a Habano wrappered cigar, and the binder and fillers, basically, you're going to get is Nicaraguan. They're Nicaraguan binders and fillers, but the Habano wrapper on the outside, we smoked through several of these to get to this one, and got to that really nice creamy consistency and the sweetness from the wrapper. When my reviews for the Cigars Daily YouTube channel is like, the wrapper sweetness is one of the most important things to me in a cigar. And so this one had to have that just right wrapper sweetness. And it's the only cigar that I've ever heard people say they get butter notes out of it. And I find that I do occasionally. I'm puffing on it. I'm like, it's a little like, it's like almost like butter. Yeah. Like, and there's a whole thing I have about like flavor note bias. The second I say a note, you start looking for it. It's easier to find, but
yeah.
Right.
As far as the blend goes, really when I say Nicaraguan binders and fillers, for me, that means a whole lot, because I know the quality of the tobacco. I know the work that goes into this stuff. Every leaf inside this thing is aged for a minimum of 3 years before it ever gets rolled into a cigar. And I think the wrapper gets aged even a little bit longer than that. And so, but it is, I'd have to go back to my blending notes to make sure all the binders and fillers are Nicaraguan. I might not be speaking out right on that. I should know that.
No, it's all good. And, coming from cigar media and going into making a cigar, there's got to be a level of, that process must be a bit snobby, because you don't want to put out a cigar that's, I'm just going to make a cigar. There's got to be a real labor of love, a real, process behind, all of that. Can you kind of take us through, without grabbing notes, and really getting deep into what that process looked like for you and how fun it was and all of that?
The Filthy Viking has been around for a while, and so this one was already sort of in a corner for where the flavor was going to be, how sizes were going to be, and what shape they were going to be. All of that stuff was sort of already, I had that because it's been around even long before American Viking was. And I'll tell you guys, it's, the process of putting together a cigar is not necessarily a snobby, involved, deep process. Like, there are only a few great cigar factories out there, but there are a lot of cigar factories out there. And I mean, you'll find everything in the cigar making world, from a factory that says, let's say if you guys wanted to make a cigar, a factory might call you and say, send us the cigar you want us to make. And you can pull any cigar out of the humidor. You could go grab, a Drew Estate, Herrera Esteli, Habano, Robusto, and send it to them and say, make me that and put this other band on it. And they'll do that. Like they've got people there who blend as close sort of as they can. For me, with American Viking, there was a few things that were really, really critical. And this is something that Jim and I both did together when we went to Nicaragua. I mentioned to you guys that early on the blends, and that's, the Filthy Viking, Obrigado, the Liga Zebra, and Box Press Rebellion. Those were our first 4 sort of really big cigars. And the Rico Barato, it's a bundled stick. People were buying those 5 to 1. So for us, that actually simplified the process, because we had these blends, these exclusives that people were already all about. And so when we went to Nicaragua, we said we had them made at 4 different factories, and we said we're going to consolidate. So we sent all those cigars to the factory ahead of time and had them blend that stuff up. When we got there, we were able to smoke our blends already blended, and it was literally like, okay, tell us, is it too spicy? Is it too strong? Is the strength need to be higher, lower? Are you missing notes? Do we need to add new notes or something like that? And we just literally sat with a master blender, because a master blender I am not. I don't think Jim considers himself a master blender. We sat with a real blender and went through them and smoked them, and we smoked them and tried them and went through the process until we were like, yes, that. And for Jim and I, the critical element is that both of us look at a cigar and say, yes, this. Like, yes, we both are willing to put whatever it takes into buying enough of these to furnish, the cigar loving world with them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Tell us about the one that Garrett is smoking right now.
Dama Velada.
The Dama Velada, and the lowdown on the, what smokers can expect, from flavor profiles and a smoking experience with that cigar.
Dama Velada, people can expect to enjoy one of the biggest mistakes I've made in the cigar world in the last 5 years.
I like where it's going.
I'll tell you all about that one. And no one's called me out on this yet, and so I'm waiting. So I'm gonna try to head it off at the pass here. When we started talking about Dama Velada, we were talking about a new blend. We're going to be releasing a new blend, and before American Viking, when a lot of these cigars were only available on cigarsdaily.com, we had some that people really loved. The Filthy Viking was mild to medium. The Liga Zebra was mild. The Box Press Rebellion was really a little bit fuller. It was really medium plus, but we didn't have anything really full bodied. And so we had a lot of those. Everybody was asking for a Filthy Viking Maduro. Can we do a Filthy Viking Maduro? And Jim and I were talking about it. I said, I think that if we're doing American Viking, the catalog really needs that full-bodied end to it, and maybe a Filthy Viking Maduro isn't the way to start. Maybe its own full-bodied cigar is the way to start. So I started telling everybody online, hey, we're doing this new blend. It's going to be dark. It's going to be rich. It's going to be full-bodied. It's going to burn your face off. Your face will melt to the floor because of the pepper on the retro. It's going to be amazing. And then we went down to the factory to do the actual blending, testing, smoking, solidifying the catalog. And we smoked the Box Press Rebellion, which previously was very medium bodied, but it was the same flavor profile. It was just much stronger and darker and very full bodied for us. We were like, "Whoa, that's really good." It was also a lot more expensive to make. And then we smoked the Dama Velada, and we were like, guys, this is not like I asked you to come up with a fuerte, a full-bodied blend, something punchy and strong, and it's not this. But Jim and I were both like, this is the next cigar. But you guys didn't make this isn't exactly what we asked for, but it is the next one because we freaking loved the thing.
Yeah.
So we literally came back to the drawing board, and I was like, well, I got to suck wind on social media for a while and explain to people why we were going to come out with a super full-bodied stick, but instead we're releasing a Habano Rosado medium-bodied stick with a nice flavor profile. Mm-hmm. And to date, it's gotten a amazing reception from the people who are smoking American Viking cigars. They absolutely love it, which is great. But, it definitely wasn't what we shut out for. The other thing is I misspelled it. I spelled it. There's an A in there that should technically be an E. But I like it that way, so we're just going to keep it that way.
Okay. So it should be VALEDA.
I think it's I think it's VELADA or VALED. There's an E in Velada. But I like the way it looks with all A's.
I kind of like it. And it's actually not uncommon because you probably know this, that some of the Spanish words and variations of them on some of Steve Saka's Dunbarton cigars are misspelled. And he said that's just my gringo way of that's my gringo method of Spanish, and I'm going to stick with it. So I I think it's fine.
Yeah.
And it's fun to say.
And it's fun to say. Dama Valada. You know, that one, and it's a classic cigar name. People mispronounce it. They in the Cigars Daily HQ here, they all either call it the Demi Lovato or the Dalai Lama, or some people just call it the Dava blah blah blah. You know, it just doesn't make any sense at all. So.
I don't think I'm ever going to be able to call it anything other than the Demi Lovato now.
Right.
And my most likely now my daughter is gonna. I'm surprised she hasn't come out here already. You know, hearing the name Demi Lovato, I'm surprised my daughter hasn't come out and said, "What, Demi Lovato? Where?" So,
Llama.
Hey,
how about a little something for that effort?
So I want to ask you about the PCA, the cigar trade show. Were you guys, as a cigar brand, because Cigars Daily, the shop, Cigars Daily, the YouTube channel, but then specifically for American Viking Cigars, were you guys planning on, or had you ever exhibited as a brand at the trade show?
No. And here's why.
On doing it, even though it's not happening this year. Were you ever planning on it?
PCA was basically a foregone conclusion that the answer would be no.
Okay.
And not because we disagree with PCA or think PCA is bad or wrong. We actually huge fans of what PCA do. They're one of the leading organizations for fighting for the rights of cigar smokers, and we support that. In fact, Jim and I both go to the trade show every year and have an absolute blast while we're there. But it was the year before we started American Viking where Skip Martin from Romacraft was posting about how expensive PCA was getting. It was all the stuff that eventually led to all these massive companies pulling out of the trade show. And he was talking about this unionized work, and that where it costs $6,000 to hang a banner and $100 to run an extension cord, and they weren't allowed to bring water bottles out. You had to have a union worker doing it. It was just very expensive. It turned into a very, very expensive trade show where so many brands and brand owners that I've talked to have been like, oh, PCA, IPCPR, whatever they call it, it's a foregone conclusion that we're not going to make money at this.
Yeah.
And so Jim and I, we one of the nice things that we both think the same way. We were like, yeah, we want to run things lean. At least in our first year, 2, 3 years, we should be run real lean. And that's how we did it with Cigars Daily. We ran it lean and still do. But when it came to that, we went to TPE in January, and that trade show was like, okay, last year we went to TPE this year before the world ended. And we talked with brand owners who were like, we turned a profit in our first day. And these are the same brand owners who the previous June at IPCPR were like, yeah, we're going to lose money on this thing. Like, we have to sell a ridiculous amount of cigars to even break even at this. And so when it comes to the whole PCA thing, like it's a no-brainer. Jim and I would go. We would attend it. We'd buy our tickets. We'd go in. We'd buy deals for Cigars Daily and for cigarsdaily.com. But for showcasing American Viking cigars, we may think about like a TPE or something like that. It would be really cool if it happens in 2021. But at this point, the PCA thing, it seems like it's, I don't want to say out of our league, but it's not the type of thing we'd consider right now. Yeah. It's sad that it's not happening because we would want to go to it, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense. And there are a lot of companies that are in the same boat. It is extremely cost prohibitive. And like you said, the return on investment has to be there. And it has to.
Have you guys gone?
Well, I had covered it in the past, back before How About That Cigar. Yeah, back before How About That Cigar. I was with Blind Man's Puff, so I attended some of the trade shows back then and covered it as media. It's a fantastic show. It's wonderful. It's a great experience. It's you get to meet a lot of people and build a lot of great relationships, but looking at it from the perspective of a brand owner, which we're not, but just hearing from all the brand owners, especially from small to medium-sized brands, it is very difficult to make back the investment and not put a burden on your bottom line at the end of the year. And so I understand why the company's not going.
When you're in cigars, and this is I think one of the travesties of cigars. And we talked about at the beginning of the show, like, you don't get into this unless you're willing to fight for what you love, right? Yeah. And as any cigar company, whether it's a brick and mortar cigar shop, neighborhood cigar shop, or whether it's a online company, or whether it's a cigar maker or cigar factory, you're already existing under so much regulation.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's like so much you have to do. Like, people don't think about you. Like, it's harder to find insurance, people who will process your credit cards, like regular day-to-day stuff that businesses have to do. It's harder to do when you're in cigars because they're made of tobacco.
Yeah.
And so any company you see or any shop you walk into is already started with an uphill battle. And then you take the trade show and you make it, prohibitively expensive. And it's like, how much of this can we take before it breaks us,
Yeah. So I want to know also a little bit about the origins of the retail shop, and also the origins of your media outlet, the YouTube channel. Yeah. So go back and tell us a little bit about the origins of the cigar shop, Cigars Daily.
I'll start from the beginning. I'll give you the Polaroid snapshot of getting into cigars for me. I started working in cigars in a retail brick and mortar neighborhood cigar shop as a clerk. This lady who was working there before me had completed her master's degree while she was working at the shop. Like, she finished all the assignments just sitting behind the counter as a clerk. And she finished her master's and she was going on to do like hotel hospitality, and she quit. So I got the job there. It was all the time I was a pastor, trying to be a pastor at a church plant and trying to make enough money to pay my bills. So I'm working at this cigar shop. And then eventually the opportunity to step up and become the director of operations for a chain of cigar shops in Arizona came in. And I stepped into that. And that was a place called Cigar Warehouse. They had about 4 locations, and also a website that used to be called TNTcigars.com. And which have all, by the way, since are gone. They've closed their doors, and I don't even think TNT is open anymore. And my job was to, sort of work through this TNT Cigars website and to grow the profitability of it. And as I was doing research about cigars and online sales, I discovered that it is illegal to advertise tobacco. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody will take your ad money. Like, we had money to spend on ads, and nobody wanted. So I looked into the social media side of it, and I came back and I was like, we've got basically 2 options for this. We can either advertise on pornography websites and they'll take our money, or we can do the social media stuff. And I think I've got a good idea for it. And so that was when we started doing social media there. And that was back in the day, the TNT Cigar Review, if you guys don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that for a couple of years before I after talking with my wife, we sort of realized it wasn't going to go anywhere. I'd sort of maxed out where I was with the company. I worked 2 years there, didn't really get a raise. The company's profitability grew about 4-fold. And that was through the work of a lot of people, not just me, but I knew that it wouldn't be going much further. So I was just going to quit, and I was just going to leave the cigar industry. I told my wife I applied to Bank of America to be like a sales manager. And that was when Jim, my business partner at Cigars Daily, who's also happens to be my father-in-law, pulled me aside for lunch, and he was like, hey, he said, all that stuff you did online with cigars, do you think you could do that again? And I said, I probably. And then he was like, how about you do it with me? Let's do this together and we'll jump in. I was like, wow, that's kind of a cool idea. And so in January of 2018, I started a new channel called Cigars Daily. And in 7 weeks, at the beginning of 2018, we got our space leased. We opened up accounts with the manufacturers, got the cigars in, built the website, populated it with the products, put out a video almost every single day, and launched. And it was the most intense 7 weeks of my entire life. 90-hour work weeks of going in early in the morning, working till early the next morning, sleeping a few hours, and then doing it all over again. And a lot of people did that with me. It was great. And so, when that really took off in a good way, we found ourselves having to move in our first year.
Wow.
Jim asked me, he's like, how much revenue do you think we'll do? How much do you think we're going to grow? And I gave him some estimates that I had from my experience in the past. And so we rented a space based on what I thought we could do. And after like 3 months, I went to him and I'm like, hey, we probably need to move. Like we've already had to double the size of our inventory here. And now we got to go somewhere else. So, he did the searching for the next one. He found the space that we're in now for Cigars Daily, but it has been like the coolest thing ever that I've done in my life. With cigarsdaily.com, I do the videos for the marketing. I get to do all the promotions. I get to do the ordering. We have an amazing staff of people here that takes great care of our customers. And I mean, it's as much as anybody could ever ask or hope for.
Yeah.
Did you do the Jaws line? I think we need a bigger boat, because that would have been great.
I did not. I did a Ghostbusters line.
Tim.
I did the Ghostbusters line when they were hanging the sign. I said, you don't think people are going to drive down and not see the sign? That's like Ghostbusters.
Good. All right, that's good.
I love that. I'll always take a Ghostbusters reference.
Absolutely.
Now there's a new one coming out. There's new Ghostbusters coming out. You guys know this.
I did.
I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful. I'm cautiously optimistic, because that movie was. I went with my brothers to see that movie in the theater when we were kids, and I absolutely that movie is probably definitely top 5 favorite of my childhood. Watching that movie. And
100%. Did you know that there is like a huge cult following of Ghostbusters, and all of these guys who and people who get together and have these costumes and reenactment scenes and gadgets that they built, but it goes way beyond cosplay. Like it goes into reenactment, like major reenactment of certain scenes. And dude, like I had no idea it was that intense. I met somebody who showed me
that.
Dude,
that's great.
They're like for real.
Hey, that's a big Twinkie.
I want to give an update.
That's probably the only scene they're gonna act.
Yes, on the Dama Velada. This is delicious, and I will definitely be getting more. Somebody had asked early on where people can get this, and so let's do a shout out now for where people can get this, but we'll also follow up at the end of the show as well. But Tim, where could people pick this cigar up?
My first recommendation is check out AmericanVikingCigars.com. We are currently working to build relationships with brick and mortar shops, hopefully in your neighborhood, where you can go pick up the sticks. And I'll tell you, it's been interesting. People keep asking me how American Viking is going, and I said anytime you launch a company 6 weeks before a global pandemic, it always goes great. And that's really how it has been. Like, we launched, we had a little bit of growth, it was great, and then the whole world shut down. So now as things are reopening, we just in the last couple of weeks have added Arkansas, a shop in Jacksonville, Florida today just placed their order, so they'll have it by the end of the week. Texas, and there's one other state that I'm missing, but we're currently in Arizona, Nevada, California, Alaska, Kansas, and the states I just mentioned. So my first thing is check out AmericanVikingCigars.com. Of course, this stuff is carried on CigarsDaily.com, but there are other websites that carry it too. HighlandCigars.com, HILANDS Cigars.com, carries American Viking. And I don't think any of our other retail partners have got it online yet, but I'm itching for online competition for American Viking cigars, because I think competition is great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, competition makes everybody better.
But going back to the transitions, dude, this cigar is just delicious. It is it's smooth. It's got very unique flavors. I can't pick out a certain note. The citrus thing that I had going on before, that's totally gone now, and we've transitioned into something else. But I'm enjoying this thoroughly. Matt?
Yeah, this one, I mean, you can see it's burning just the way it should. It's got a nice pyramid shape to it. The burn line straight across. It's the flavor wise, I won't say that this one has transitioned to anything, but it's very consistent. I'm still getting, I mean, I am getting just a hint more power, in kind of this final third, but it's not a strong cigar. It's just, there's just a little more volume, I guess, in this final third. But it's extremely smooth. You definitely did insert that butter note into my head, and I can't get it out of my head now. But there's great sweetness to it. Again, I get almost sort of like vanilla, cinnamon, little bit of spice through the retrohale, but it's not a spicy cigar. It's just, I think it's very well balanced, and it burns incredibly well. Tons of smoke output too.
Yeah, a lot of good smoke output with both of these. And I mean, this wrapper, that's one of the things that I absolutely love about a smoking experience, when I don't have to worry about the burn, when I don't have to be, touching it up, or it's tunneling, or, canoeing on one side, and it's not unraveling. The wrapper or the band, I love when companies do right with the band. Nothing is more frustrating than taking your band off and you get some wrapper with it, and
the whole cigar goes with it.
Yeah, the whole cigar could go, and so beautiful wrapper on this, and it's been a great experience.
So one of the big, huge central things for American Viking is has to do with not just the blends, but also the design elements for a lot of the cigar rings. And there are two cigars in the catalog. One is called the Liga Zebra. The other one is called the Box Press Rebellion. Both of those, the cigar ring designs were influenced by people who are already smoking the sticks online, people who are following cigars daily. When we did the band, or initially when we launched the Liga Zebra, it was a naked stick. It was just a barber pole with naked. And then when we put a band on it, we started putting design ideas in front of the audience and saying, which ones do you really like? And letting that influence how we worked. And then when it came to doing the band for the Box Press Rebellion, we said, okay, we want the audience to pick this one. So we literally got a whole design contest going online and had everybody come and vote on their favorite designs. And completely by coincidence, the guy that initially did the Liga Zebra band that we picked to his design to make the band, the audience picked his design, picked the same designer for the Box Press Rebellion design. And this guy lives in the UK. I've never met him, but after they picked him, I emailed him and was like, clearly our followers love you.
Yeah.
So you're now just the design guy for American Viking. Are you willing to do that? And he's like, yes. And he's great, because I'll just email him and be like, hey, I need this by tomorrow. And he'll create a design and send it to me. And so he did both the design for the Filthy Viking and the Dama Velada. And just a fantastic guy who, I mean, he could be a terrible person. I don't know. I've never met him, but a really good designer at the very least.
Well, yeah. And the design elements are really, really nice on the, just there's little snowflakes, on here, and the sort of Nordic knots, that are on here. It's really, and it's got nice sheen to it.
I don't think my camera's going to focus on this as well, but what you're looking at the top of here, what you'd refer to as the snowflake.
Yeah.
This is basic on the sides. These are basic Nordic designs. This is called a Vigiseer. And this is actually the Viking compass.
Okay.
And so this is sort of about finding your way. And then behind the Filthy Viking, a lot of the design I'm on here is just basic Nordic, kind of stuff. But the Vigiseer was kind of a cool, initially he sent me the design for both the Filthy Viking and American Viking. Had a big fat dude with a red beard with a helmet with horns on it. And I looked at the designs. I was like, dude, everybody knows that Vikings did not have horns on their helmets. And we make we'll be answering questions for all eternity about that. So we just were like, let's go another direction. And we went, and the guy just killed it. I mean, he just slayed it on that. There's nothing better to me than having a really beautiful, amazing presentation on a cigar.
And how about boxes? Do you guys do more than retail boxes? Do you do bundles? What kind of
packaging?
That's
for the packaging. I'll go get a box. Let me go get a box for you guys.
Yeah,
awesome.
So, guys, if you're watching along and listening along with us, American Viking Cigars, Cigars Daily. Garrett is smoking the Dama Volata, and I am smoking the Filthy Viking. We're both enjoying these quite a lot, and it's the first ever that I've smoked, first ever for Garrett as well. So,
and when you're smoking a new cigar from a company that to be honest, it hasn't really taken off yet. This is a pretty new cigar and cigar company. I'm always a little leery of a new cigar.
Understandable.
Yeah. And I will never boast about, I wouldn't continue to give updates on a cigar that I really wasn't liking, despite having a guest on the show. 100% honest. This is a great cigar. Okay.
That's fantastic. It should be that way. As far as the box design goes, these are the boxes. They're all cabinet style boxes, which is 4 rows of 5 cigars inside the box. And each one's got the cliche on the top and the front with the band design. Now, this box is something that we're wanting to do a little better. Probably going to start doing this design element in gold when we continue doing the boxes, but it's got the seal of authenticity for the American Viking side when shops get it. And that one thing that was a really big deal to me was having it so that the box is displayed on the shelf with the lid in the back.
Yeah.
If you don't put hinges on a box, it's kind of got to have its own, in presentation. But, but this was cool. Like, I got to design cigar boxes. Like, it was great.
How fun is that, man?
It's got to be a blast.
Dude, I've been working in the cigar industry for 5 years, thinking about all this stuff. If I had my own brand, how would it be? What would the bands look like? What would it be called? What would the boxes look like? And then getting to go through that whole process is great. Yeah. Just like it's like a dream come true.
One of our viewers, Chad, wants to know what you're drinking, what beer you're drinking with your cigar.
I'm drinking Corona Familiar because
Familiar. I don't think I've ever seen that particular kind of Corona.
It's probably because you're not as close to Mexico as we are. Everything we get
that would be it.
He's got the
this happens to be at the Carniceria across the street where I go to practice my Spanish with the workers over there. They had this Corona Familiar. We just started buying it and never really stopped.
So if you had to actually, two questions. First is, out of all the blends from American Viking, if you had to choose one desert island cigar, which one would it be?
For me, it would be a hard choice between the Dama Volata and the American Viking, or the Filthy Viking, quite frankly, because the Filthy Viking is my stick. I mean, it's my baby, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
But the Dama Volata is just it's very nice, like very smooth. It was everything I didn't know I really wanted in a cigar. So if I had to pick one, it would be one of those two. And I only say one of those two because I don't want to just say the Dama Volata, even though that's probably what it would be.
So in a sort of similar question, because you, and we've talked to other people in the cigar industry about this who wear different hats. You're on the retail side, you're a brand owner, and you do cigar media. And if you had to choose just one of those three, if for whatever reason you were forced to choose, which one of those three would you say, I have to keep doing this one, the other two I'll let slide?
That's the mean question.
It's a mean question, I know.
That's the hardest question I've ever been asked with regards to cigars, because I love the media side of it. I love it. But the thing that really blows my skirt up is the business of cigars. I love the cigar industry and the people that I get to work with. And when it comes to cigarsdaily.com, working with manufacturer to provide extra value for the people who shop on Cigars Daily, right? So when I get to go and sit with the manufacturer and say, I want to do something amazing with your brand for Cigars Daily, brokering those deals is like, it's special for me.
Yeah.
And then this is all just a wacky dream come true that I would have a very hard time answering that. But if I had to say one, I would probably say the business of cigars.
Yeah.
It would be hard for me to ever give up doing YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, social media, making videos and connecting with people. But really the business of the cigar world, I love it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. It's there's so many great people in the business. And the great thing about, the retail side of it is you get to meet so many just awesome people every day. And I love it. I love it too. It's extraordinary.
I like asking cigar brand owners questions that they don't get asked a lot in the cigar industry, even though in any industry they're a standard. It's one of the things that sets cigars apart from a lot of other industries. There's a lot that hasn't been done in cigars that can be done. A lot of people are trying to do the new blend or do a new thing with cigars, and they're not. I think a lot of people are asking the wrong questions. But the basic question that I ask everybody is, what sets your brand apart? Especially when people are pitching a new brand for us to carry here at Cigars Daily. I'll ask them, what sets your brand apart? Why the hell should I carry your cigars versus every other boutique brand out there, even ones that people have actually heard of?
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed. Some people don't even have an answer for that question. They say, because the cigars are really good. Well, there's a lot of really good cigars out there. If it's not really good, it wouldn't be on the market. And there's thousands of brands. So pick something else, please.
Yeah. All right. Let's move into this week's Smokabulary word. And as always, guys, Smokabulary is brought to you by AJ Fernandez. Born and raised in Cuba, AJ Fernandez now produces unparalleled premium cigars in Esteli, Nicaragua. The day-to-day operations at Tabacalera AJ Fernandez are managed under the watchful eye of Mr. Fernandez himself in order to ensure superior quality. The AJ Fernandez portfolio of premium cigars provides blend, strength, and flavor profiles to match the preferences of any premium cigar consumer. Whether it's New World, Dias de Gloria, San Latano, Enclave, or Bellas Artes, you are sure to be satisfied with a premium cigar from AJ Fernandez. So, guys, this week's Smokabulary word is hygrometer. So, Garrett, when I say hygrometer, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Sprinkler system. Got to keep them moist.
Think cigars.
Oh, you mean the little devices that read?
It's not vocabulary, it's smokabulary.
Oh, okay. The device that either digitally or manually reads the humidity level.
So this is, I took this out of the upper half of my cabinet humidor. So this is the hygrometer that I use. I got it off of Amazon. I bought two of them, one for the lower half of the humidor, the other for the upper half. And this, this device, you've got to have these in your humidor to keep your cigars. There are some that are just a round dial with a needle on it. They tend to be less accurate than the digital kinds, and even the digital ones you have to calibrate. So you can get nice calibration kits from Boveda. And you just want to keep your cigars properly. You want the relative humidity level. And this is a nice one because it does temperature and humidity. My humidor is in the basement of my house, which really stays at 67 degrees year round, which is good. As you can see right now out here in the studio, it is 82 degrees. So you don't want to store your cigars at that temperature. And it's only 59% humidity in here, which I think is,
it's actually pretty good.
It's not bad.
It's not bad for cigar storage, but I don't store my cigars in the studio here. But you got to have a quality hygrometer in your humidor, even if it's a small desktop humidor that only holds, about 30 cigars. Make sure that you have a well-calibrated hygrometer to keep your cigars somewhere in the range of 60 to 72% relative humidity. If you get much below that, your cigars are going to be too dry.
You guys say 60%? Most people say 65 is the bottom end.
Well, so I've heard a wide range from a lot of different people, and I think one of the things that I've heard commonly throughout my smoking experience is a lot of people who smoke a lot of Cuban cigars tend to store them at a lower relative humidity than they store cigars from Dominican Republic and Nicaragua and Honduras. I don't have a lot of Cuban cigars in my humidor. So I keep the whole thing. Typically my sweet spot is 65 is where I keep my humidor at, is 65. Sometimes it gets 1 or 2 points higher, 1 or 2 points lower, but it's usually around 65 for me.
Can I ask people to post what they keep their humidity at?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Leave it in the comments here, whatever you keep your relative humidity in your humidors.
And if you're going by Boveda packs, let us know what Boveda pack you're using.
Yeah. Well, and Tim, this is kind of a regional question, because for you being in Arizona, you have extremely high temperatures, but for the most part, you have relatively low humidity just in room air. Is that correct?
Yes, and I think the relative humidity here outside is like in high 30s, mid to high 30s, really low. Inside it can get up as high as 40 or 45. And when we first started out here, I was talking with other cigar shop owners. I was making content for the Cigars Daily channel and featuring some of their shops. And, I was talking about it because in my mind, it's like, well, of course you would set your humidor at 72. You're in Arizona. Yeah. And they were like, well, you don't want your cigar to be at 72. And then when you ship it, the humidity changes, and then you end up with wrappers that explode when they arrive. Or even I've heard cigar shop owners say that they find that to be an issue when they sell it to people who are just driving back to their house 15, 20 minutes. So the recommendation to me here has been keep the humidor at 69%. And we started doing that. We've had really, really, really good success with humidification of our orders. We almost never, ever get complaints with dry cigars. So it's been great. And it's challenged me because I'm a 72% guy, have been for almost 15 years. And now I'm really actually pushing toward the higher 60s as my personal preference for humidity.
Yeah. And I also used to be a 72 guy. I would only buy the 72% Boveda packs. But, then I keep a mixture of the 62s and the 69s, and that keeps me right about at the 65 level, which just works for me. And for us here in Minnesota, I mean, it's middle of summer right now, so
fluctuate.
Yeah, the fluctuations.
Big time.
In January, for example, it can be 10 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit with a relative humidity of 2%.
Yeah.
So you take a cigar out of your humidor, and if it's at 72, you take that cigar out of your humidor and you go to light it up, and it will snap in half, and you'll hear it. Mm-hmm. You will hear it pop open. And the same is true in the summer, because Minnesota is essentially just a big swamp with a bunch of lakes peppered in between. And the summer, we can have temperatures, into the 90s and relative humidity of 85%. Easily. So you take a cigar out of your humidor that's stored at 60%, and that thing you can actually see the wrapper start to take on humidity in the air when you sit on your front porch and you go to light it up, and you actually, the wrapper actually looks like it starts to get wrinkly because it gets so humid so quickly. and sometimes just becomes unsmokable. So yeah, you have to deal. And everybody, I mean, we're seeing a lot of 69s here, 70s in the comments, 67. I'd say right now 69 is the front runner. So
yeah, and that's what I use. So I have a handful of different humidors, but my main big humidor, I use an Oasis. I've had that thing for almost 10 years now, and it's always awesome for me. And,
yeah, I've heard great things about Oasis from a lot of people.
And I keep it at 69, and it lets me know if, hey, I need a little bit more juice. And
you like the juice?
I like the juice.
You like the juice. Let's move into this week's, that was this week's Smokabulary Word, brought to you by AJ Fernandez. And now it is time for
Numero de los Muertos. All right, guys. Oh, yeah. Numero de los Muertos is brought to you by Oveja Negra Brands. They bring you premium smoking experiences forged from tobacco, time, and talent. Comprised of Black Label Trading Company, Blackwork Studio, Dissident, and Emilio. Oveja Negra Brands provide smokers uncompromising blends renowned for their flavor and lasting impression. Oveja Negra, where art and tobacco collide. Join the flock. Visit ovejanegracigars.com to learn more. You guys.
All right.
This week is a fun one. The number is 48,507. Now
that's oddly specific.
It is, and it's going to be so fun. This number, whatever you're thinking, just kind of throw it out the window because we're going way outside of the box on this week's Numero de los Muertos.
Okay.
So you could say this number started in 1974, and between 74 and 2017. To get you going, I am going to say this is in the world of fiction.
World of fiction.
So wait,
do I get a guess in this?
Yeah, we're going to guess.
Yeah.
And viewers guess along with us. So between 1974 and 1917, 2017, 48,507 people died from this.
Yeah.
But they're fictional people?
Fictionally.
Yeah.
They're not these weren't actual deaths.
Correct.
So in some fictional universe between 1974 and 2017, 48,507 people died from this.
Yep.
Died from this, but fictional deaths.
Correct.
Chad has a good guess.
It can't be anything video game, or the numbers would be in the billions.
Viking pillaging deaths. That's an excellent guess.
That is. I love it.
All right, so fictional.
I don't think Chad should be allowed to guess anymore.
Yeah, Chad has been very good with the guesses for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And Chad really you as a regular viewer because last week I think Chad nailed it after about 30 seconds. He did landed right on the answer. So
this is a hard one though. This has got to be a hard one.
Very difficult one because it's not real.
Yeah, and I guarantee if you were to probably Google that specific number, you would find it rather quickly. So I'm going to ask people not to Google that number.
Because people always listen.
I'm holding my phone in my hand. I can't. I physically can't.
I know
myself.
So is this
Rick Knight says the rebellion? Rick Knight says the rebellion.
The rebellion. Oh, like Star Wars.
That is a good one. No.
So is this a work of literature or a series of books?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm using books loosely.
Starting in 1974.
Mm-hmm. And
books is loosely. So this could be a movie where they wrote the movie. They wrote the book after the movie?
No.
Is
The
it?
literature is just.
But it only went through
Is it alien
2007.
abductions?
Oh, alien abduction.
Is it alien?
No, it is not.
But it stopped in 2017.
Well, that's when the numbers. So that number will probably climb when the next one comes out.
Mike's got
Oliver-
I thought of this actually. Wearing the red uniform in Star Trek. That is a great. I thought of that too, Mike. That's a great guess.
I love it. It's not Star Trek universe.
Oh,
Oliver from United Cigars is on. He said the number of times Kenny's died on South Park.
I love
Seems
that.
like there could.
I love that.
they killed Kenny.
Yeah,
That's a great guess.
I don't think it's up that high.
Okay, so
And it's not orcs. Orcs is a really good guess.
orcs.
Can we get a genre of loosely based literature? Would that give it away?
We're gonna say you can. This would be so. Literature would be yes, Chad. It is comic book literature.
Oh, okay.
Is it all comic books, or is it one particular?
Yep, it's one
universe?
particular.
All right, so let's start naming off.
Are you guys Marvel guys or are you guys DC guys?
I am. Well, I love both, but I was always more of a DC guy until Aquaman came out, and Aquaman was one of the worst movies ever made in the history of film. I mean, what a steaming pile! Just horrible, horrible movie.
But it was better than Green Lantern.
It was better than Green Lantern. What about you, Tim? Are you a Marvel?
So I'm a Marvel guy, 100%. Yeah. And I was never a comic book guy as a kid either. I just saw the movies with my own kids, and I was like, "This is way better." So
it is not in the Lord of the Rings. And John, that is no, it is not. That is, it's not just the Marvel universe.
Is it nameless Joker henchman?
Oh gosh, that's good. No,
that's a good one.
It is. It is not DC.
Not DC. Okay, that narrows it down.
You said not only the Marvel universe, so this is something that could be in the Marvel universe, but also on its own. Well, all right. Yeah. So
it is Marvel.
It is Marvel.
It is Marvel.
Okay. Is it the number of Thanos's soldiers killed in battle?
Ooh, that's a good guess too. No. All right. It is one person who is responsible for those deaths.
Stan Lee. There you go.
I love it. And another hint is this is not one of Stan Lee's creations.
Not one of Stan Lee's creations.
They are mostly revenge killings.
Who's the archer? What's his name? Hawkeye.
Oh yeah.
Nope. Hawkeye. Nope. No. He went into a really vengeful bout for a while.
Yep.
So did the Black Widow.
Is this character a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yes. But I will say, well, no, not cinematic.
Okay, so not in the series of movies.
Correct. But there has been.
But there has been a series of films made.
The Punisher.
It is The Punisher.
Yes! Oh, yes! I feel so good about that. Okay.
Frank Castle.
Something. All right.
So Frank Castle is responsible for nearly 50,000 revenge killings.
Wow.
As he should be, because everything he does is great. Have you seen the Netflix series?
I have not.
Oh,
Yes.
It's on my list of stuff to watch, but
skip all the other Marvel stuff on there and just watch that.
Okay.
So, dude, so good. And hopefully Disney Plus will pick it up again. Because as we know,
Yes.
I'm gonna be good here.
Okay.
But
so Frank Castle has these are confirmed kills in the book, in the comic books.
So there's this long, great article about a guy who took and researched from comic book to the series on Netflix of all of the deaths that he created and came up with the estimated 48,507.
I'm sorry, I just thought of something. Can you imagine how different the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies would have been if Frank Castle would have been a part of that team?
Oh my God.
If he would have been part of the Avengers. Oh, give me a break. That would have been
the show. Just to give you an idea, my friends in Phoenix, we measure movies and shows based on what we call the STF quotient, which stands for shots to the face quotient. Shots in the face. And if you measure it by that, The Punisher is the greatest TV show ever made.
All right, I have to watch it. I am a big fan of the movie from a few years back. So yeah, I definitely have to.
The show puts the movie to shame.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that is this week's Numero de los Muertos. All right, Tim. So a little bit of a lightning round. If you could choose to hear the thoughts of one living person for 10 minutes, who would it be and why?
Go Donald Trump. And that's not a political move. I would just want to hear. I would just want to.
Number one answer.
That is the most popular answer. And everybody's in the same boat. Everybody, regardless of which side they're on, they just want to know what the hell's going on up there.
Yep. Whether you love him or hate him, you want to know. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So if you were about to get into a fight, what soundtrack music would come on?
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Ooh, nice.
I like that. Very good. All right. Choose one of the following. And I know you're not a sports guy, but still, choose one of the following. You could hit a home run as a starting pitcher. You could score a touchdown as a defensive lineman. Or you could score a goal in a hockey game as the goalie.
Well, I've seen hockey goalies score goals, and it's typically when they accidentally hit the puck into their own goal.
Yeah,
so I'm not
own goal, yeah.
But in football, it's worth the most points, so I would go with the touchdown.
I like that. That's
yeah.
We've never had that logic put into this.
Most points
because you've never had an idiot answer the question.
I love it. That's perfect. All right. So being in so many different areas of the cigar business, what's the number one piece of advice that you give to brand new premium cigar consumers?
When people just get into this, and I get them here at the Cigars Daily HQ all the time, I tell them, you are at the best, most exciting part of your journey in cigars because every great stick you'll ever smoke is still ahead of you. So try everything. And I'm sure that people get that a lot. Try everything, but truly, like, don't discriminate. Even if you see a stick you don't think you'll like, try it out. Just give it a try. And this is auxiliary, but related. I tell people that if you're going to give a cigar a chance, not every cigar you're going to love the first time because you just ate something or you drank something or your palate is off for some reason. So I tell people, grab two of a stick, one to test, one to rest, and just give it a few months. Like try the first one, and even if you loved it, try it again after a few months and see if you still love it. Right?
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about a notable smokable for the week. Mine was a gift from a good friend of ours here, Minnesota Herf Connection, our great Facebook cigar group here for all our Minnesota cigar smokers. But Joe Guzman gave me one of these, the Hirsch y Garcia from it's a house brand, sort of a house brand for Cigar King, and it's blended by the great Don Pepin Garcia. And got this very simple red band, simple text on the band, nothing fancy. But I smoked it a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday. It was very recent, and very nice cigar. Very textbook Garcia blend, but lots of nuance to it, not overpowering, but you could definitely taste that Pepin spice throughout. And covered foot, which I'm a huge fan of a covered foot cigar because, sometimes you light it up and you get that blast of wrapper right at the beginning. And I loved it. I thought it was a great cigar. So kudos, thanks to Joe Guzman for that cigar. Tim, what's something that you've smoked in the last week or two that it could be something that's been on the market forever that you revisited and went, wow, I forgot how great this cigar is, or something brand new to the market that you just tried and it really knocked your socks off?
So I've been talking about for the last couple of months bringing in a new brand on cigarsdaily.com, carrying a new line we've never carried before. And I'm a lot more gun shy about doing that now than I was when we first started. I take a lot more time to pick. And I was trying to pick, and we finally brought in Espinosa. And so Espinosa cigars are actually available as of this afternoon. But in that process, a lot of cigar reps were bringing me cigars of stuff to carry. And one of them was my rep for Aganorsa leaf and Aganorsa cigars. And he brought me just this last week a Lunatic that was like a 7x70, which is not a size I care to ever smoke. But he handed it to me and I lit it up and it was great. It was great.
Yeah, They do good work.
They do. And those big ring gauges, I'm with you, man. They're not my jam, but that is a damn good cigar.
It's good. It's hard to argue with.
I had me and a buddy went down to the Mississippi River today and sat out on a bluff overlooking the river and sat there and smoked a Siglo 3. And it was a fantastic cigar and an even better conversation, and the scenery was amazing, which, that whole experience together it was money.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the experience is, you can have an okay cigar in a beautiful setting, and it just makes the cigar light years better. But then having a phenomenal cigar in a beautiful setting just makes it off the charts fantastic. We normally don't take questions this late, but this one's interesting to me. So Dave is saying, I'm in the Northwest. What are your thoughts on the almost impossible venture of getting into the cigar industry in my region? Dave, I'll just jump in really quick. I would say, Dave, if you're passionate enough about it and it's something that you care enough about, that you'll find a way to make it happen. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a gravy train, but if you put in the time and the effort and you have the passion to just keep at it, then the sky's the limit, really. So I wish you all the luck in the world.
Can I chime in on that?
Please do.
And the Northwest is a really challenging part of the world for cigars. The majority of people that I've talked to who work in the cigar industry in America started off just like I did, working in a cigar shop as a clerk. Everyone from cigar shop owners to cigar brand representatives to cigar brand owners who are not myself, like guys who just got a part-time job at a cigar shop, started learning a little bit about the industry, got swept off their feet, and then just absolutely loved it. And so that's, and there's some windows on some things like starting your own brand that you may look into. takes money and time and a lot of energy to do something like that. But that's something you can do almost no matter where you are.
Yeah, and it would, really help too to reach out to some local representatives to help you get on board with, fighting the fight that you'd have ahead of you.
Yeah.
If you have any of those, reps behind you in that could go a long way.
Yeah, really get into, get relationships with your local reps, your state reps, learn as much as you can about the regulations in your locality, in your state, and then get in touch with groups like the PCA and the CRA and learn how you can get involved with, because there are subgroups and local groups that you can get involved with to help, fight the fight in the area that you're in specifically.
Yep.
We had it happen here in Minnesota where the premium cigar tax, and we talked about this with Tim before we went live, the premium cigar tax here was pretty outrageous. And we had some great reps and people from the PCA and CRA that work together with state lawmakers to make a change. And we have a considerably lower premium cigar tax than we did a few years ago. So it is possible to make some inroads and make changes. So just keep, I would start out by learning as much as you can about the local regulations, and then, just get your feet on the ground and start moving.
Yep.
So guys, for those of you watching and listening, next week on June 23rd, we are going to welcome Enrique Sanchez from Global Premium Cigars / 1502 Cigars. He's a guy I've known for a few years. We got to hang out in Nicaragua for a while. We're very excited to have him come on the show next week and tell us about 1502 Cigars. So Tim,
He's awesome.
He's a great guy. He's awesome. Excited to have him on because he's one of the most energetic, kind people that I've ever had the chance to meet, and we're excited to have him on. Definitely. Tim, give everybody a final idea on where is the best place for them to keep up with everything from American Viking Cigar Company.
So AmericanVikingCigars.com, that's where you guys can find our brick and mortar partners. There's a growing list there. Also, a lot of information on the blends, everything like that. You can follow American Viking Cigars on Facebook, also on Instagram at American Viking Cigars. I'm on Facebook as well as Tim H. Swanson, and on Instagram as Smoke Viking.
Fantastic. Tim,
Awesome.
Thanks so much for being on the show
man.
tonight. We're glad it finally worked out, and
Yep.
we had a blast spending some time with you and learning about stuff tonight. Thank you.
This is a cool privilege for me, guys. Thank you so much for letting me hang with you.
Absolutely. So guys, as always, if you have any questions, you can hit us up on howaboutthatcigar.com. Sign up for the email list. Follow us on social media at HBT Cigar. And until we see you next time, burn cigars.
Not bridges.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.